And here we go.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Mike from the Super Wheeler Bros, and we're back with another Season 7 Walking Dead review. This time, we're reviewing the mid-season finale, episode number 8, entitled Heart Still Beating. There was so much good that happened this week on The Walking Dead. It hasn't completely made up for, those doldrums that we were in there for a couple of weeks, and the egregious storytelling that they were executing, which reminds me of just ultimate trolls, it seems like, is what the Walking Dead producers like to be. They like to do what they want, and they don't care kind of how we feel about it. However, this episode, the mid-season finale, it's great that they have ramped up the mid-season finale and gotten us, especially me, pumped for the second half of the season. Because they ended the first half of the season with 2 back-to-back excellent episodes. And even the very first few minutes of the show that were before the opening credits, it showed you exactly what it should be. I think we met with everyone. We went to the Kingdom, we went to the Hilltop, we went to Alexandria. I believe we even saw Daryl in the Sanctuary. But we saw everybody. We saw Negan, Rick, and Aaron out on patrol. We saw Michonne in the car with the Savior. We literally got to touch base with everyone before the opening credits even started rolling. And that is exactly the point. We need to have some semblance of storytelling for this to work. And when you're moving quickly in and out of things, you create tension. You can leave scenes hanging and pick them up a little bit on in the episode. A little bit later on in the episode. It's really, really well executed. And, the scene with Rick and Aaron in the boat was definitely had some tension. They even made you, even though you kind of figured that Aaron and Rick were going to make it unscathed, but they even allowed for tension to build up right there, which was great. And they were able to execute their plan and get everything back to Alexandria. So Rick and Aaron's story, very well done. A lot of tension that they had there. This is the second time they've had a supersized episode in 2 weeks, and both times they were well executed. It didn't feel like an hour and a half went by. That's how well paced this was. And Michonne, I was a little surprised that she didn't take pity on the Savior. It was a little crazy that she just popped her right there, but I guess maybe she was taking pity. She didn't really seem like she wanted to live. But now Michonne knows. And what I love about Michonne is that she's always had the resolve. She's always had the guts, as I thought maybe this episode would be called, and I'll explain a little later. But I just love that she is the strong backbone, and she's making it go. She's making Rick go, and I love that. The next portion of the episode that I thought was really good, even though it was small, was the interaction with Sasha and Enid and Maggie at the Hilltop. And we got a little scene where Gregory is realizing that Maggie is basically taking control. And I just love Lauren Cohan in that role, and I love Maggie in the show. She's just a really strong character, and I'm glad that they're following the comic book on that. It was really great to see, finally, Daryl escaping from his cell. And we don't know who that was that let him out, but I imagine it was Sherry. I imagine she was the one that assisted him. And I'm glad he met up with Jesus. That was cool that Jesus was still lurking around and that they got out of there. But the thing that surprised me, but it was just so satisfying after how Daryl had been treated, was him beating Fat Joey to death, Negan style. I felt a little bit bad. Fat Joey didn't seem like the worst character in the Sanctuary, but it was good to have him finally take some revenge on how he's been treated and just be able to fight back a little bit. Carol and Morgan in the Kingdom and in Carol's little house that she's staying in. Having the guy from the Kingdom come out and say, "We've got to fight." We know these characters. I know that they both seem like they're not going to step forward, but I feel like in the end, they're going to step forward. They're going to do what they have to do to survive. And right now it's fighting the saviors. They have to do it, or they could, exactly like he said, just decide to take over one day. That leads us to everything that happened in Alexandria, which pretty much took up the back half of the episode for the most part. Negan starting to look even more like Negan now. Jeffrey Dean Morgan shaved his beard in this episode and just uncannily looked like him. And the infamous scene in the comic, boy, was it brought to life with Spencer and Negan. They're playing pool, everybody's starting to surround. It was just set so well. And even if you were a comic fan and you expected it, the way they executed it, even though, and Austin Nichols did a great job as Spencer, even though his character is kind of a rat. That guy's pretty good actor, and he did a really good job. But that whole setup was amazing. And I gotta say, it was still shocking a little bit just because of the way it was just primal, the way that they shot it. It was right under the stab when Negan just, I mean, and it was a big Rambo knife too. It was pretty sweet, but just stabbed right in there and just released his guts, which is why I thought that maybe he'd be calling it guts, because he talks so much about having guts, Rick having guts and Carl having guts, and even Rosita, which, you know, and Spencer not having them. And oh, there they are. I'm sorry, I've never been so wrong before. You know, it is really hard when you have a really charming and charismatic bad guy to hate him. But Jeffrey Dean Morgan has done a really good job of making him both charming and just such an asshole that you can't like him. But you want to, because he's so charming. So it's good that he's towing the line, because sometimes you can have it to where you're rooting against, you know, your main characters because they're such a powerful presence on screen. And while Jeffrey Dean Morgan does that as Negan, he doesn't overtake Rick, because as soon as Rick comes up in the scene, you're just like, kill him! Let's go! Fight! You can win! And you just want that to happen. After that, right in front of everybody, Rosita, she just couldn't take it anymore. She couldn't take it anymore. So she fires her shot, her one bullet, and again, he impressed Negan because she was tough. But hitting Lucille and his reaction and just how upset he was over a frickin' bat, it was ludicrous and hilarious. And the way that they just executed poor Olivia, man, that was just cold-blooded. That's all I could say. I mean, it just, so much happened in this episode that it's so nice to see the plot pushing forward. And when Rick finally arrives, he sees, as he admits to Michonne right before the end of the episode, down in the prison cell, that they've got to fight back. They can't let this go anymore, or they're not going to have a life. Because Negan can just do whatever he wants and take whosever life he wants because he wants to do it. And he has no control over it. So they have to do something. And I love the tension that was built up, and just Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Andrew Lincoln, again, facing off. I mean, they're just great. They're great. And that whole interaction was awesome. And, you know, I love the little touch that Rick had to end up putting Spencer down. And, you know, Eugene stepping up, saying, I'm the one that made the bullet. I mean, in any other circumstance, I think before this, he would have let Tara take the fall for it. So I'm glad that he was able to do that. And it just really pushes the character forward a bit. Makes him more important. The best scene, though, of the episode, and it was awesome, it was really even kind of touching, was when the group, Tara, Carl, Rick, Michonne, Aaron, they all made it over to the hilltop. See that Maggie's okay, the embrace, and then just the straight up bromance, bro hug moment between Rick and Daryl. I'm telling you, man, it could tear you up a little bit. It has been so long since our characters have had any type of good moment that it was really necessary, and it was perfect. Perfect way to end it. The symbolic gesture of Daryl giving Rick his python. Just saying, let's go, man. Let's get rid of this guy once and for all. it was great. It was a great way to end the episode, and just seeing the band back together and the team back together with their resolve back, oh man, it was the perfect way to get pumped up for the next half of the season. And I know I sound like I'm like really pumping up The Walking Dead, you know, and drinking the Kool-Aid, and I'm back on the Kool-Aid. I know I really just enjoyed what they did with the last 2 episodes after just one of the worst episodes they've ever done in episode 6. And they've had quite a few that were just kind of like, what is going on? What is happening? We need to move this thing forward. So to have them end the episode and just have so much momentum going forward is fantastic. And they even have already so many breadcrumbs, you know, on how they're going to fight Negan and what the importance of that is going to entail. But then they have a little nugget where there's a guy that was after Rick and Aaron when they were at the boat picking up supplies, and he ended up back at Alexandria staring at Father Gabriel through some binoculars. Same guy with the same boots, and that may play out later. There's a couple of theories that may be somebody from the Kingdom. I'm thinking it's somebody from a group called the Whisperers, which, if you don't know about them, go check out the comic book. You'll be able to read more about them, and I imagine that'll be the next big threat after Negan, if our group is able to deal with him and take care of that threat first. But what a way to end the episode. What a way to end the first half of the season. Great momentum. It was satisfying in pretty much every way. Things were pushed forward. Tension, characters. It was just awesome. I was just extremely happy with it. And I know this has been a little bit longer review. We are going to do a review on the entire first half of the season and talk about that. I know we've done a lot of that here, but we are going to do that and have another video out on the first half of the season, and I'll be able to grade that. This episode was definitely, I would say, a 9 or a 10. Probably, I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a 10. Definitely a great episode. One of the better mid-season finales, which they're notorious for just not doing well at all. So very, very happy with this episode. Tell me what you guys thought of this episode and the first half of the season in the comments below. I definitely want to talk to you about that, see what you guys think. Let me know. If you enjoyed this review, go ahead and drop us a like. We would greatly appreciate it. It really helps us out. And if you haven't done it already and you're enjoying our videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're definitely going to get more and more to you here in the near future. My name is Mike from the Super Wheeler Bros, and as always, have yourselves a super week.